Very good morning to everyone. Welcome you all in this online English session. Dear students, as you know that we have already done with our English course of class 12. In this particular online module, I am going to tell you that what will be your strategy in your revision sessions. We have already taken the poetry part. Now I am going to start the last lesson of your Flamingo book, that is your lesson number 1, and the writer is Alphonse Daudet. So let's first think about it, that once we read the chapter and once we are done with the content, what should be my strategy as a class 12 student that can be fruitful at the end of the day to give me success and good marks in English especially. Every language demands two things. One is your writing practice and second is your accuracy and clarity about the content. So as far as this chapter is concerned, this chapter has certain key points, certain important points that you have to keep in mind while writing the short answers or attempting any of the long answers that are there in your course syllabus. Now, Alphonse Daudet, when we talk about, he's a French novelist and he's a short story writer. This is a beautiful short story which describes that what happened when the country faces the war. So first background is about the war. It is about the two districts, Alaska and Lorraine, who are overpowered or over-tuned by the French country. So Germany, actually in short we can say that Germany was defeated by France, and now France is actually not allowed. France has imposed their rules over Germany. So what kind of psychological changes do these kind of people, those who are living in that city, they overgone, and how they deal with that kind of change? As a small child, as a small boy, Franz has certain changes he observed and he experienced, and Mr. Hammer, the main character in the lesson, who is a teacher, dedicated teacher, who actually teaches who teaches his mother tongue, and we will know that how he actually supports the people and country and how patriotism is there in his blood. So let's talk about the briefing of the chapter. So chapter says here that there is a background given here that Prussian soldiers have defeated. France was defeated by Prussian led by Bismarck. So France was defeated by Germany in short, and Mr. Hamel and Franz both were living in France. So they obviously used to speak as their communicational language French. Now when the one country actually defeated by the other, how the rules do change and what kind of drastic change in their own lives. That particular lesson tells us how the lesson opens. The lesson opens when the French was moving to the classroom, and here he observed that Prussian soldiers were marching and drilling on the road. There is a bulletin board. Now one key point came on the page number 2 here, that what is a bulletin board? CBSE asked this question, where the French was going, how he feels, what he observes, and what do you mean by a bulletin board. So these kind of small questions. And when you see the chapter starts with the word I. Who is the speaker? Who is I? So these small questions actually are very important when you read the chapter. So you read it with insight. I'm just giving you a little idea that how you actually deal with the text now. Because differences are of 8 marks, MCQs are there obviously. So you have to be very much particular and keen about all those minute details which the chapter actually gives us. Now, I is obviously the Franz who is leading to the school, and he observes the bulletin board. Bulletin board is a kind of board or kind of news bulletin which was actually used by the old people in ancient times to pass on any kind of message to the whole society. So they just put this bulletin board on the roadside so that people can read the change. So that day the bulletin board was there, and the lost battles, the orders are the part of bulletin board, and he was in hurry because that day he was already late and he observed some kind of unusual changes. Second thing which is very important here is that what kind of lesson, what was the lesson that he missed that day. He was late that day for, so it was a lesson of participles. Okay, so that is very important. Word participle is also used here. Now, when he entered into the class, he observed that Mr. Hamill was there and there was a pin drop silence in the class. There was no hustle bustle that day, which was very unusual again. So he was not wrapping the ruler, and it was not a very usual common day that he experienced usually. So that particular Sunday morning was very quiet, and Mr. Hamill walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler. Now Mr. Hamill's character here, students. This is one of the important character and question which comes in the exam, like write down or pen the character sketch of Mr. Hamill. So I hope you just please look up all the important references that are given in your text related to Mr. Hamill. One is there that he is having an iron ruler, that means he is a strict teacher, he is a disciplined teacher, and what he is wearing, it is also given that he was wearing beautiful green coat with frilled cap and also frilled shirt and silk cap, and embroidery was there. So he was all dressed up as if it was an inspection day. So he was also very much into taking the last lesson. Now the heading is last lesson. Probably it was his last lesson of French, that is the mother tongue. Now two more important words which will later on come when you look up the lesson. One is linguistic chauvinism. Okay, so carrying the language pride to a greater extent is a linguistic chauvinism. The concept I have actually told you in my early videos, and also that is a particular thing that language minority, the people who are actually are more in number, their language, they belong to the majority part and they are not minor, so they can impose their views on the minority class. So this is how the two things are very important. One concept is linguistic chauvinism, one is of war, and the other is the feeling of losing your mother tongue. How you actually feel, how you feel imprisoned. Little Friends describes many important expressions, and he tells that one day he felt that even the pigeons cannot coo in the mother tongue. So there is an expression, please underline that particular line. It's an important line as far as the reference is concerned. I hope you understood my point of view, what I wanted. I just wanted to tell you how to read the chapter pinpointedly now, because it's already we have done one time. So second time reading should be like that you underline all the references and come out with your queries and collect all the important expressions so that you will not be in rush during examination time. So please ask your queries in the doubt session. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Stay healthy.